All right, let's go. We're just starting out just like this. Oh man, got some tea. Let's get it. We got finance in the building. What's going on?
Everything's good. Can you hear me? We good?
Yeah, I can hear you definitely. Yes, definitely. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Yep. Been a long time. What's up with you?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Um 2025.
All right.
We here.
Yeah, got to make some moves. Yeah, definitely got to make some moves, especially with the new regime change. So yeah, you got to make some moves. All right. Okay.
Okay. Change. Okay.
that sound like
Okay.
what? 8 years ago, change. Was it eight?
Right.
Four? Yeah, change. Yeah, 8 years. 8 years ago. Yeah, something like that. 8 years ago. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So what are we talking about today? What are we gonna cover?
So let's talk about 2025. Talk to me about that.
2025 key issue is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna do in 2025. Oh my gosh! You know what? Um, let me text. Let me just hit. Oh my gosh! Let me hit Patrice real quick. Let her know I'm online. Well, she should see I'm on live. Okay. So simply here's what we're gonna do for 2025. What we're simply gonna do is we're going to solidify and we're going to bulletproof all the things that we've been working on. We're going to
Okay.
make sure all our I's are dotted and all our T's are crossed. We're going to make sure all our paperwork is correct and make sure that it's actually benefiting us for the long haul. So we're going to make sure that our LLCs are set up correctly. We're going to make sure that the businesses, that we understand the business of LLCs. We're going to make sure that we understand the tax implications of LLCs. We're going to make sure that we are actually doing what we're supposed to be doing when it comes to the paperwork of our business. In other words, we're going to start working on our business more to make it credible.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
That's one of the main things we're going to do. Now that the it's called the BOI, a benefit something, that's on hold. So now we don't have to worry about that too much. But once you did that, you wouldn't have to worry about that anyway. But that was all for a reason. So we're going to wait and see what's going to happen with that. But if you've already registered with that, you're cool. But if not, you don't have to worry about it too much. But understanding that part when it comes to partially when you're talking about your business and your setup and all that good stuff. I have a situation that I came across last week, well, actually this week, where someone's asking me to help them set up correctly their business structure. And I'm understanding and I'm asking questions, and they're like, no, I don't know that. I don't know this. I'm like, we got to start from scratch. You have the pieces, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that the pieces fit so that you can actually become profitable in your business. Even if you don't turn a profit, you can still become profitable by taking a loss.
Mm.
Got it? One
Yes.
of the key things that, and I talked to you about this, is uh, commingling. We got to make sure that you understand that. People have to understand that. So one of the things that I talk about is you can donate or you can give money to your quote unquote LLC or your corporation, but you have to do it correctly. A lot of people don't understand that. So now, if you're commingling your funds with your LLC or your company or whatever from your personal, if it's not done correctly, if your company is sued because you commingled your personal assets with them, the IRS or the companies can go after that too because you didn't set it up correctly. And it's real simple. It's real easy. It's just people don't know. And this is
Mm.
why they call me and they call Stewart. They call Michelle down in Atlanta. These are people that we talk about that help us along the way to make sure that we do it correctly.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Absolutely.
You can donate, you can loan your company, and I say your company because I don't want to delineate LLC, S corp, or C corp or not, but I just want to say your company, of $50 million. But you have to make sure it's done correctly, and that's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people don't
So give give me things
What's that?
that okay, so give me three things, three gems that people don't know about when they register their LLCs.
Oh, three? Okay. Okay. All right, cool. Three things is stop naming yourself as CEO.
Okay. Mm,
People were like, I'm the CEO, HNIC, all that. No, don't do that. Because again, if you are the CEO, you are held accountable because you are showing that you own this company. Now, you want to make yourself an operating manager. You want to make yourself an employee of the company itself. Remember, the company itself is a separate entity.
absolutely.
So
Yes.
you make yourself an employee of the company. Now you can actually take a paycheck from the company. So now you can create a W 2 from the company. You got it.
Mm,
So now, but also understand when we're talking about the mindset, everyone can walk up to you and say, I'm a CEO, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. All right, whatever. But again, when someone says, I'm the operating manager of XYZ Corporation, that's a little bit more tangible because we can understand, oh, you know what? That's a little bit more realistic. One of the things that we're on today is because what I'm going to do is what we're going to do is I'm going to show people, and I'm going to have people opportunity to show them how to flip $100 into $200. See, what happens is before when we talk large numbers to a mass of people, they don't understand. They get, okay. Let's look at it this way. Do you
mhm.
do you do you know what $1 million is?
Yes.
Have you seen $1 million? Physically seen $1 million?
Physically, no.
Okay, so how do you know it's real? Do you,
Uh,
so you understand the point I'm making? The
yes.
visualization. Okay, there's $1 million. We've never seen it, but we know it's real. But in the back of our mind, it's like, do we really, really know what $1 million is? Okay, now watch this. $100. Got it? $100. Is that real? That's a little bit more tangible because you've seen it and you felt it. So when you start talking to people about large numbers, it sounds real, but it's still elusive to them because it's something that they've never really seen before. You understand my point? And I'm trying to get the tangible part of having people realize that, oh, you know what? I've seen $100 before. Oh, I can work with that. Okay. Oh my gosh, you know what? Okay. Oh, wait a minute. I've seen this. Oh, I've seen this. Okay, that's real to me. Okay,
Mm,
now how can I take this and flip it into $200? Got it? That's a little bit more tangible. It's a little bit more real. But like I said, when you start talking large numbers, a lot of people understand it, but it's not tangible to them. It's elusive. Oh, this is not going to happen because if I can't understand 20,000 tangible 20,000, it's not going to work for me.
mm.
It's all about what's going on in here, the tangible part. And then when we can start getting people to understand that it's possible, then we can take it from there. That makes sense?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
So, what do you think is going to happen as far as like the economy goes?
And we said three things. So we're going to go back to the three things, or we're going to come back to your question. Are we going to come back to this?
Okay.
I'm asking, how are we going to do it?
How we gonna do this?
Want me to continue with the three things, or you want me?
No,
Okay.
it's your show.
No, you
Yeah,
have three things. I just want to make sure that we are on the same level. So we
absolutely. So that's one, right?
understand.
So yeah,
So now, what was the question again? Three things about LLCs.
yes.
Three things about LLCs. Okay. How is your LLC being um, taxed? See, LLC is a LLC, limited liability corporation, but it has to be taxed a certain way. It has to be taxed as an S corp or a C corp. So technically, you have an S corp or C corp? LLC is a derivation of the two. So do you have an S corp or a C corp? It depends on how you're taxed. People
Mhm.
don't understand that you have to make sure that you're taxed correctly when it comes to your LLC. If you're starting out small, if you're just starting out, you're a one man show, you're doing everything, you want to tax your LLC as an S corporation. Just remember, S means small, C means corporate. I mean, just look at it that way. C means corporate. 500 or more employees. Got it? But also, there's small nuances. They're not small nuances. There are large nuances between the two. So, but with an S corp, you're starting out small. It's just you. You're not making X amount of money. Now, you're going to be taxed at a different in a different format than when it does with a C corporation. Got it? So you have to make sure that you're taxed correctly, because if not, you're going to be quote unquote double taxed. It's a whole lot of stuff. And this is why what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have consultation with someone who understands the game and how to make sure to set up what you're about to do correctly. One of the things that you want to do is if you're about to start a company or a business, have a consultation or speak with someone and try to give them the long view. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because if you're looking at making a profit and being at a position in 5 years, setting it up now correctly will cause you a lot of pain and heartache down the road, trying to set up all the stuff. So yeah, so that's key. Setting up, making sure you understand that. That's number two, right?
Okay.
Number three, LLC, LLC. Okay, three things. Um, oh, your NIAC number is important. Okay, your NIAC number.
Hmm.
So your NIAC number is important because depending on what your NIAC number is going to actually determine your credibility when it comes to you getting credit for your LLC. So a NIAC number, NIAC means North American Industry Classification System. You got it? I don't know where they get it from, blah, blah, blah. But if you have a NIAC number that is in the range of a restaurant, your credit is not going to be as strong as a different type of industry. It's an industry number because
Hmm.
as the numbers go and as the situation happens, remember that when it comes to the NIAC number, well, restaurants are like high percentage of failure rates. So a lot of people are not going to invest in restaurants because of the high percentage of data of the years, the first year falls. I mean, I live where I lived. I'm walk down the street, and I'm like, oh, that restaurant hasn't been open for not even less than a year, and they're shut down already. This. Oh my gosh, they just opened up 6 months now they're closed. So understand that your NIAC number is key. So you want to make sure that you have a correct NIAC number that's going to have you favorable so that when you start applying for credit, when it comes to your corporation, your LLC, that it's favorable to them knowing that this is a good industry that the person is in, that you're actually, it looks good. Yes. Got it. So that's the three things. Three things. Yeah.
Let's go. Let's
And
go.
these are small things that a lot of people don't think about, but again, you have to have consultation with people who know this. Be like, oh my gosh, it's all key, yeah, and it'll help you out in the long run. Yes, got it. So that's the three
Let's
things.
go. Yes.
All right, cool.
Let's talk about the economy now. What do you what's your opinion?
Here's the thing that my opinion, and that's all like elbows and buttholes. When it comes to okay, The global economy. Okay, I'm trying to word this as sensitive and correctly as I see it. There is no there is no lack of money in the world.
So there's no such thing as lack of money in the world because it keeps getting printed.
It keeps getting printed, yes. The key about the economy is circulation of money. That's the key. So there's no lack of money at all. There's a whole bunch of money out there. It's just that the circulation, when it's not moving, that's when you have a problem with the economy. And you're tagging inflation also because now with the inflation rate, you have to circulate more money. So 2 years ago, you could buy a Snicker bar for 60 cents. Now it's $1.20 for the same Snicker bar. So what that simply means is that for me, at 2, 3 years ago, it only took me 60 cents. So I had to move 60 cents to purchase the Snicker bar. Now I got to move 120 cents to purchase the same Snicker bar. So we have to look at circulation is the key and how much money is being circulated. In times of crisis, what happens in times of crisis? People hold on in times of crisis. They,
Mhm.
it's not that they fear losing it, but they just want to make sure that everything is going to work out. But in times of joviality and when everybody's happy, that's when money is. Oh, you know what? Prime example. Prime example is let's look at sports. Okay. Now this is to answer your question. Let's look at sports. If the team is in the playoffs, what happens to the economy of the state? If the,
If the team is on, I'm listening.
if the team is in the playoffs, what happens to the economy of the state? Look at the restaurants. Look at
Hmm.
Applebee's. Look at Chili's. Look at all those restaurants. What happens every Thursday night, every Friday, every Sunday? What happens? They're filled. Why? Because people are going to go watch the games.
Right,
But if the team doesn't make the playoffs, that economy starts slowing down. Why? Because nobody wants to go because the team is out. As long as the team is in the playoffs, oh my gosh, we're going down to grab Applebee's and go grab a drink. We're going to watch the game. So that's another example of what I'm talking about when people hold on. That if those funds are not flowing, now people are getting scared. If funds are not flowing, restaurants have to shut down. If funds are not flowing, people have to get laid off. So the funds have to be flowing. Part of the issue, what we're looking at right now, when it comes to the political climate, is they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know. So they're worried, they're scared. So it's like, you know what? Let me hold on. Let me wait and see what's going to happen after January 6th, because there are a lot of things that are going to change after January 6th. And that's what a lot of people fear because they really don't know.
mm,
Part of the situation with um, our girl was that she could not articulate the she couldn't articulate the faith and the confidence in her about the economy. She couldn't
mhm.
people. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now it's like people like, okay, we want something, um, but you're not giving us something. You're not giving us hope. You're not telling us something that's going to help us. And she was in a prime position to be able to navigate the nuances of the political climate because she was in there for 4 years. It wasn't like she was coming in trying to learn it. She was in it already. She's like, oh, okay, I can navigate this. I got this. We got this covered. But she didn't do that. But I don't know whose fault was that. It was her advisors. They didn't tell her, and they didn't guide her correctly. That's my point of view. They didn't guide her correctly into things that she could have said. Yeah. So when it comes to your question about the economy is going to pick up. The only thing, well, not the only thing, but one of the things you have to worry about is when it comes to the economy is the world global markets and how other countries are starting to become or pushing to become the primary when it comes to monetary systems.
Right.
The United States is the number one monetary system in the world. Now, when you got other countries who are like, you don't have to be that anymore. We're gonna compete with that. Now it's gonna be like, oh, now we got an issue. Something's going down. Something's deep. Yes. Yep. Got it.
Yes. Okay. So there are talks. There could be another recession by 2026, 2027, or 2028.
2026. So this is 2025. Okay, go ahead. 2026. Now, what's your question? There are.
Because recessions happens, I think, every decade.
Okay.
The last recession we had was COVID.
Okay. Now, what's a recession?
A recession is when the economy goes down. So it goes into depression mode.
Okay. All right.
That is a recession. So that's when people get laid off, and that's when the economy, the stock market starts crashing, and a lot of things start to go into depression.
Okay. So a recession is when the numbers come out every single month, right?
Mhm.
The GDP, the farm markets. When those numbers come out, when there are three consecutive negative numbers, then we're officially in a recession. Got it? Okay. So now there's no growth. GDP. Something's happening. We're in. The numbers are negative. They're going down. Okay. So after 3 months, okay. So now what's the problem? What's going? They have to look at that and try to figure out what's going on. Like you said, COVID. There was a lot of things going on with COVID. Again, people were staying home.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Let's look at 9/11. 9/11 happened. A recession happened. Why? Because when it comes to travel, nobody was traveling. Because remember, nobody was getting on planes. So because nobody was, now we're talking about September, October, November, okay, close to Thanksgiving. See, nobody was getting on planes. No one was really traveling because they wanted to stay home. How does that affect the tourism?
I
Okay,
see.
now
Okay.
nobody's going to Broadway. Do you see all these things are interconnected. So now one event can actually steamroll into other events. So now understanding that, and remember I said about the money not moving. So we're not getting on a plane. So that means we're not going to Disneyland. Uh, we're not going to California. We're not going to Florida. We're not going to New York. So that's going to affect the industries when it comes to hotel and restaurant industries because nobody's coming in. So now you got to lay those people off. Oh, okay. All of this is going on. So now what we have to do is we have to look at these situations, go like, okay, well, what's happening here? Again, if you can look at the situation and know the cause of it, you can bear that out and wait it out. But if you don't know the cause, that's a different situation. So now, when we talked about COVID, you talked about COVID, people weren't connected. People were staying home. People were being paid to stay home. You had trucks. It affected the trucking industry because what I'm told is that truck drivers were like, I'm getting paid more now staying home than being on the road. What
Mm.
effect? That affect the shipping line. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
produce coming from San Francisco or Seattle, things that were supposed to be off lifted off those ships and brought across country, they were being stacked up. And it's amazing. And they were talking about how, 1 day or 2 days will set the whole system back how many weeks? because now we're talking about these big freighters that got these containers of goods that are sitting there because why they're not being moved across country. So now price gouging, uh, the price of an item, let's say, I don't want to say a food item, but the price of an item is going to be quote unquote raised because we don't know if we're going to get any more. We don't know when this whole thing is going to pick up again. So now what we're going to do, we're going to raise the price on the item.
Mm.
It's it's deep. When you look at it, it's kind of messed up, but it's like it is the way it is. Yeah. So when you ask about the economy, again, what we're looking at is money being moved, and the question is how fast it's moving and how strong it's moving. If it's not moving, the economy is bad. But if it is moving, the economy is good because now again everybody's having a good time. Everybody's feeling confidence in the system. Everybody's feeling confident in their jobs, knowing that their jobs are strong because of the economy. People actually working, using the money.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
got it.
Okay. Yes. Yes.
So the question is, there are no major predictors on how the economy is going to move because it's hard. Because again, you never know what's going to happen. But what you want to try to do is you want to try to position yourself in a position so that whatever happens, you're a little bit safe. You're never 100% safe, but you're a little bit safe.
Mm.
It's funny because I was watching something and they were talking about how many people became rich after COVID because of social media. People were staying home, remember? So now what happened? The porn industry, I mean, blew up because people were saying they were making, what's funny? I just learned this. It's not called adult material anymore. It's called adult content.
Mm.
It's like content. And you think it's funny because like, why do you call it adult content? It's because people are feeding you content. It's like, oh yeah, and it's like, okay, well, it kind of like makes sense. So you have people in their living rooms or in their bedrooms set up like a studio, and they're creating content that they're putting out there. People are paying to consume that content, and it's like, oh, people made a whole bunch of money, and you have people who were like, I was a porn star, blah blah blah, but now I'm making so much money now on my own because I don't have to go anywhere. I can do it all under my bedroom or my house or whatever.
Right.
But to be able to find something that you can actually um, produce or something that you can sell that people feel the need that they have to have. One of the things that they did with it's amazing. One of the things that they did with the cell phone to get you to think that you cannot live without your cell phone.
Which
That
is you actually can.
oh, you can, and the reason why I know you can because I was raised in a time when we didn't have cell phones. But you have
Mm.
generations of people who don't know this.
Absolutely.
So they will kill to get their cell phones back. They will do all kinds of things if they lose their cell phone. And it's amazing because what they did was they were able to put it in your hand. And once it was in your hand, it became a habit. And once that habit became addictive, now you don't feel like going out without that thing in your hand or in your pocket or something like that. You know, I
Right.
I saw a situation. It was crazy. Um, the young this happened in Philadelphia. I think this was years ago. I don't know if you remember the young girls who tried to rob the man's car, Uber car. They were teenagers, and they crashed the car. The man was in the car. It was so big. The man died, crashed the car. One of the young girls ran back to the crash site to get her phone, not
Mm.
the man who died, no, to get her phone. And it's like again, what we're looking at an addictive people or addictive generation who like they got to have their cell phone. So now, if we can create something, or if we can create a movement to get people to do things that they have to live with, you know what I'm saying? They have to live with, and we can monetize that, then then we'll be okay. As long as it's legal. As long as it's legal.
Right.
So,
Definitely.
there are other things that we can get into that's illegal. There are. But again, that goes on to your moral compass, and that goes with your integrity. Yes, your integrity.
Let's go. Chuck Finance. Let's go. Oh man. Thank you for everything for this. Anything else would you like to talk about? It's all yours.
Oh, it's your floor. It's your floor. We were talking about this. Yeah, it's your floor. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um well, I'm mostly covered. So okay, I'll give my last question. Let's go back to the LLCs.
Okay.
Talk about more about if can you uh because when you register your LLC through the state,
Okay. Go ahead.
when do you have to? I think you have to like I think it's something about you have to re-register it for every 2 years or a year, depending on the state. If you know what I'm saying.
Okay. That's well. If you are consistently up with your paperwork, you don't have to. Well, yeah. Each state is different. Each state is different. Correct. We would have
Yes.
to take a look. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about, it, we have to take a look at the list and see each state is different. Yes. Correct. Each
For
state.
example,
Right.
New York is every 2 years.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
You have to file every 2 years.
Right. Okay.
Now as for what about like the IRS when it comes to your profit and loss statements, when you have to, when you have to do the IRS every year, you have to file the report for the IRS about like your profit and loss and everything.
Well, it actually should be done every 3 months. Every
Isn't that wait? Isn't that like a C corp if you do it every 3 months?
no. Okay. Your profit and loss is every quarter. That's a quarter.
Mm,
So it should go in every single. So you should know what your tax base is after each quarter. But that's going back to the beginning. That goes to when we're talking about making sure that paperwork is done correctly.
mm,
Got it? When it's done correctly. So to answer your question, the paperwork part comes in when you have a great accountant and you are on top of, like I said, crossing your T's and dotting your I's when you're making sure the paper. You should not be shocked at the end of the year if the government says, you owe this, that, this, and that. If you're on it every quarter and you're making sure it's correct, you have nothing. You have nothing to worry about.
okay.
Yeah. So that's the key. So again, making sure that your numbers are correct and your valuations are correct and everything is done on the up and up. On the up and up. I'd rather be audited for 1 quarter than for 8 quarters.
Mm,
You see what I'm saying? So now I got to go back 8 quarters and I got to look at all this data. Whereas 1 quarter, it's right here. I got it. Okay. Oh, I made a mistake right there. I added a zero. I added 1 0 too much. Okay, that's easily fixed. Okay, bingo, got it. Here you go. Oh, that's all. Look, simple typo, simple mistake. Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So
All right.
we were talking about money before, right?
Everything you need to know about financial literacy. Um, and we was definitely talking about the language of money. Yes.
Language of money. Okay. wrote these notes. I don't know. You know what? I'll save that for another section.
Okay.
We were talking about oil. That's what we were talking about. Remember?
Oh, on the phone. Yes, we was talking about
I,
oil.
I
We
thought
covered here. Yeah.
that's what you're going to have me talk about.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, no, we could definitely talk about oil because
because that's what we were talking about before.
yeah, absolutely. So Saudi Arabia,
Mhm.
but yeah, well, for what you research, so it's no longer going to be for what I looked at it, it's no longer going to be in US dollars. They're going to desensitize it to Bitcoin, I believe.
Okay, but okay, so okay, so we're gonna do the okay. You got your pad. You got your pad and paper out. Get your pad and paper out.
All right, everybody listening, let's go.
I'm gonna
This
we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna come back to what you said about Bitcoin.
okay.
Okay, we're gonna come back to what you said about Bitcoin. Okay,
Let's
ready?
go. Yes.
1859, very important year in United States history. 1859, oil was discovered in Pennsylvania. Got it? So now, Rockefeller became very, very famous. John D. Rockefeller Sr. became famous. Why? Because he was an oil baron. Got it? John D. Rockefeller Sr., oil baron. He owned like 90% of the oil reserves when it comes to United States. Okay? Now, 1932, oil was discovered in Saudi Arabia. Got it? Okay, so now, uh, okay, I'm sorry, 1933. 1933, oil was discovered. 1932, it was when the Saudis created what's called the kingdom. 1932, Saudis created the kingdom. 1933, oil was discovered. So what happened? American companies were going over there for the oil, right? Because remember, in Pennsylvania, oil was discovered, and then there was the mad rush out to the west. That's when oil was being discovered in Ohio, in Kentucky, all these other places. All right. So now, because of globalism and expansionism, okay, we can only do with so much, here. Now let's look somewhere else. 1933, oil was discovered. Okay. 1938, the Arab American Oil Company was created. The whole thing, blah blah blah. So now, in 1945, President Roosevelt made a deal with the Saudis with the oil. Okay, got it? And these are key terms that you have to understand. Okay. So now, 1945, uh, President Roosevelt made a deal with the Saudis. Okay, cool. So now, the American dollar, got it, was the number one currency that every other currency was backed against. Okay, this is after World War II, 1940, 1944, 1945, something like that. After World War II ended, got it? There was a deal. United States money is going to be the money that all the other currencies are going to weigh itself against. It's the premier dollar value of the world. Got it? What was it backed by? The
What
currency,
is it? Uh-huh.
currency has to be backed by something. What was it backed by?
The US dollar.
What was it backed by? Yes.
Is this something like gold
Yes.
or something? Okay.
It was backed by gold. So now you were able to take that, you're able to take that currency, and this doesn't have it on there. You were able to take that currency, and the word gold was actually written on it. Got it? These ones don't have it. But what I was able to do is at one point in time, I could take that $1 bill, that $5 bill, that $10 bill, I could take it to the treasury, and I can get the same value equivalent of gold. from that bill because it was backed by the gold. Now, here's what happened. In the process, there was only a certain amount of those dollar bills or those currencies that could be printed because you couldn't have more than how much gold you had. Got it? So if the United States had 50,000 tons of gold, they could only print so much that was equivalent to the value of the gold that the United States had. Make sense? Okay, got it. So now, because of expansionism, all those currencies were being spread around the world. This is after World War II. Got it? So you had soldiers who were getting paid with what? US currency. So they were in France, right? They were in not Germany. They were in France. They were in England, and they were these currencies. But what happened was the French one day said, "You know what? We don't want this money anymore. We don't want this American currency. So what we want to do is we want to take all of this American currency that's in our country. We want to give it back to the United States, and we want the gold." Got it? That's what we want. That's what the French did. The French. Right? So it was like, wait a minute. You want to take all the currency that's in France, that's American currency. You want to bring it back to us, and you want us to give you gold? Richard Nixon said, "Nah, we can't do that. We can't do that." So 1972, Richard Nixon did what? He took the currency off the gold standard. Wait a minute. Took the currency off the gold standard. Now it's backed by what? Nothing.
Nothing. Thin air.
Right. So now what does that mean? Because remember, if we got 30,000 tons of gold, we can print the equivalent value in paper. But now that it's not backed by gold, we can print as many of these as we want.
Mm.
So now that $1 bill that was the same value of what the gold was at that time, it had value. Now that it's taken off the gold standard, that $1 bill is backed by air, nothing. So it devalues. So the money you had in the bank that you were know that at one point in time it was worth its weight in gold, now it's not worth the same amount.
Mm.
So now what can the United States do? We can print more of these pieces of paper because it's not backed by anything. So somewhere along the line, it came up that, okay, you got to do something for the world to have faith and confidence in our American currency. Because remember, it was backed by gold. But now it's like we need something that the world will say that this dollar is good.
Mm.
We can use it. Remember, if it's not being used, it's worthless. 1973 comes along. What happens? They made a deal, right, with OPEC. And the deal was we need you to sell your oil around the world, but we want you to use the American dollar. So if anybody wants to buy this oil, we're dealing with OPEC now. If anyone wants to buy this oil, they have to use the American dollar. These are deals that were made, political deals. So now we're looking at that. It's like, okay. So now if Japan wanted oil from OPEC, what did they have to use?
American dollar.
Right. You see? So it's like, oh my gosh. So now the American currency is strong now because it's back. Everybody needs oil. We're talking about the industrial age. Gasoline. There's so many things that are made from oil. It's like amazing. So now America's solidified now. Now you can't get oil unless you use our money. You got to use it. Remember, you got to put people in a position where they're forced to do things that they might not want to do.
Mm.
So now, coming up through time, blah, blah, blah. So now what happens? Okay, Brazil has oil now. Nigeria has oil now. Brazil and Nigeria, deals weren't made with Brazil and Nigeria. So wait a minute. Japan can buy oil from Brazil and Nigeria, and they can use whatever currency they want to use because the deal wasn't made with them, it was made with OPEC.
Mm.
It was made with the Saudis. Got it? So now there's a competition now. You see, now there's a competition. So wait a minute. We haven't cornered the market anymore because now there's competition out there. So now BRICS comes up. Fascinating. Now, BRICS has how many countries? Do you know?
Um, what does BRICS stand for?
So, Russia, India, China.
That's the nation, right?
The nations Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Okay?
Okay,
They
gotcha.
they want to create their own currency.
Currency, yeah. Okay.
There are four other countries that's inside of BRIC now.
Mm.
A lot of people don't know this. So it's actually nine. And I have to check to make sure to update my information.
Hmm.
So now it's like we don't have to use American currency now for oil. Because now if we want to use, if Brazil is part of BRICS, we can use whatever currency we want. We don't have to use oil. So now we become less dependent on American currency. That
Mm.
less dependent on American currency. Okay. So now we can buy oil from Nigeria and we don't have to worry about the United States becoming involved because we're using our own currency. So the United States is pushed out of the equation. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So now go back to what you said about Bitcoin. What you said was about Bitcoin and oil.
Yes.
So now, how is that going to work for? How is it going to work for you and I who have a gas house that we have to pay for that gas if it turns over to Bitcoin and I don't have Bitcoin?
That is a great question. Mm. Uh, wow, that is a great question. So if you don't have Bitcoin, I guess put your American dollar into Bitcoin.
But I don't want to do that.
Okay.
So, and the thing is, just because I don't want to do it doesn't mean I'm going to have to do it. So it's forcing me to do something that I might not want to do, but I have to do it to survive. So when it comes to the Bitcoin piece, all countries might not agree to that, but some countries will. So just because I don't believe in Bitcoin, which I don't believe in Bitcoin, doesn't mean that it doesn't have value.
Mm.
And sometimes what we have to do is we have to get out of our stubbornness and say, this is going to happen no matter what, how you feel. So you might want to just jump into it and become involved.
Hmm.
I don't own Bitcoin. I don't have Bitcoin.
Mm.
And when I talk to people about Bitcoin, they tell me that they own Bitcoin. I'm like, well, okay, you have a piece of Bitcoin. You have a fraction of Bitcoin.
Right.
Yeah. And that's cool. So let's be real. You have a fraction of Bitcoin. So I mean, I'm cool with that. So do you use Bitcoin? Have you used your Bitcoin?
No.
What do you have to buy? You're holding it.
Well, yeah. So it's like this, right? What I know is for Bitcoin, if you use exchanges like Robinhood, Crypto.com, Coinbase, technically, for what I'm for what I was doing, and what word of mouth is that technically you don't really own it. You don't have Bitcoin. It's just the money. Is technically is it's the platforms, right? But if you have something like I think a cold wallet or a hot wallet or whatever they call it, um, that is I think you have like a Bitcoin, a fraction. I might be wrong. I might be wrong. I
Do you,
might be wrong.
do you know what Bitcoin is?
It's a coin, size coin.
How does it work? Do you know how it works? I'm
the
just
set
no, and see that you don't have to know. I'm just asking if you know how it works.
the sentence for what I know is it's a coin. Yeah. It's a crypto coin. That's what I know. For what I see, it's a digital currency transaction to maintain new units of currency are generated by uh, computation solution of mathematical problems.
Okay. Bitcoin is an algorithm.
It's a what?
Algorithm. Okay, that's the word your computation. That's the word you're looking at. Okay,
Mm,
got it.
yeah.
Okay, let's look at it this way. Um, so now you have this algorithm,
Hmm.
this computer algorithm. So now I bought into this algorithm. You bought into the algorithm. Somebody else bought into. All these people bought into the algorithm, right? So we're part of this algorithm. So now we're going to get a wallet. So now what happens with Bitcoin is this: anytime there's a change in the algorithm, we're all going to be updated.
Gotcha.
So if I exchange or if I did something with you in Bitcoin, as soon as it happens, everybody's updated. So if I have, let's say, 10% of this Bitcoin and I
Hmm.
sold 1%, now I only have 9% left. Where did
Mm,
that 1% go? That 1% went to somebody inside of the group.
gotcha.
Got it? So that's the exchange. Now, the value of the Bitcoin determines how much we can exchange. Now, I don't know how the value of Bitcoin grows, but when you look at supply and demand, that's one of the key issues when it comes to the value of something. How many
Mm,
people want it? Got it?
yes.
How many people want this? So the more people want it, the higher the value goes up. So you have a piece of Bitcoin, which is fine. I don't know who has total share of Bitcoin itself. Say someone has one, that's my one Bitcoin. That's what's the value of Bitcoin now? How much is Bitcoin?
The value of what's the price of Bitcoin or the value?
Yeah, the price.
Hold
One
on
million.
a second.
One. Oh gosh, no, that's yes.
The price is 101,000.
101,000, right? Okay.
Yes.
So that's the price of Bitcoin. And that's going to fluctuate back and forth, back and forth. Depends on, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my question with Bitcoin is, if I were to take that 100,000, Where can I purchase one Bitcoin from? Who has it?
That I don't know. That's a great question.
Right. So my question is, how do I know you have this one Bitcoin? I'm going to purchase one. I'm going to purchase it all by myself, not a fraction, all by myself. How do I know
Mm,
you have it? I don't know. And that's what scares me.
mm,
So when I buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, how do I know you have it? You know what I'm saying? How do I know you didn't create an algorithm that made it look like I purchased this cryptocurrency and I'm thinking I got something.
mm.
Now I can create a cryptocurrency and say it's Bitcoin and get a whole bunch of people to buy into it, and they are operating inside of that one unit. But what if I wanted to go outside of Bitcoin to another Bitcoin? These are questions that I ask, and it's a lot of technical stuff, but it's just to me, it's too vague for me.
Mm.
It's too vague for me. Yeah. And that's just me. It's just my questions have never been answered.
Because I don't think people know.
Yeah. So, will Bitcoin crash? We don't know. You saw I sent you the hot Tui girl,
Yeah,
which
the hot two. No, you didn't send me the hot two girl, but I know about the hot two girl. I think her name is Haley Welch,
okay.
which is she
Yeah,
created she created a hot
yeah,
coin, which is that's like coins like that. Same thing. How I think they had another coin with stuff like that is only just like a pump and dump. That's it.
right. Pump and dump. Right.
Yeah. She made a coin. Yes.
Mhm.
And people were actually putting their money into it.
It's unregulated.
Yes.
You and I can make one. It's
Mm,
regulated. So if it's unregulated, it's not protected by the government.
gotcha.
So now it's like I just invested $100,000 in this and it fell. Now the value of my investment is only $100. Government is going to be like, we got nothing to do with that because that's on you.
That's on you. Absolutely. Yeah.
This is unregulated. Did you read the fine print? Nope. Okay, well, we
It's
can't.
not like FDIC insured, none of that.
No, no, that's on you. Can't do that. Yep.
So that's why when people say if you put your money into these pump and dump crypto coins, it's not regulated. So that means you just like you lose your money fast.
Yeah, you're on your own. If you
Yeah.
if you're not in at the beginning and out at the beginning, you're stuck.
If you're not in the beginning and out in the beginning,
You're
that's
stuck.
it.
Mhm. Now, if I spent $5,000 on day one, on day two, I'm trying to get rid of it.
Mm,
So let's look at it this way: it's worth $1, right?
okay.
Day one, opening day, it's worth $1. I take $5,000. I get 5,000 on day two. It's now worth $2. Supply demand. So all these people on day one bought up, bought up, bought up. Now there's a quick, oh my gosh, the value of it went up. It's $2 now. So now it's like, okay, I want to get rid of my 5,000 that I have. I got to put
Mm,
it back on the market because now so now I got to wait for somebody that's gonna say like I want to buy it now because before it goes to $3,
mm-hmm.
it might go to $4. Now we're talking about quote unquote. We're talking about hype. We're talking about news. We're talking about a whole bunch of stuff. It's like no, I got no. I'm in and out. I, I'm not going to wait. What if
Absolutely.
it doesn't go to? What if it doesn't go to $3? What if it stagnates at $2? Okay, well, I want to get it. I want to get it now. I'm going to flip it and get it. That's all I want to do. That's all I
Yes.
want to do. You ever watch Billions?
No.
Okay, excellent show. Billions. There was a season where the guy had an energy drink that was predicted to make millions of dollars. Right. Day one, stock opened up. Let me tell you. I mean, stock rising. Okay, because it was the big talk. This is the big thing. People are trying to get in. Okay, we want the stock because we know it's going to go up. Blah 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 blah. So this is part of the show. This never really happened. Never really happened. But this is part of the show. So now what happened is on that day, the day the stock opened up,
Mm-hmm.
3 people got sick from the energy drink. I mean, drunk it, throwing up, projectile, got to go to the hospital, everything. Now, this is the news. Got it? So, opening day, it opens up, the stock rises, everybody's like, oh my gosh, and then the news hits, right? The news hits later on that day that 3 people got sick from the energy drink, right? What happened to the stock the next day? Plummeled. Boom. Like, oh my God. So, again, we don't know what's going to happen. So, whatever price you bought it at, if you can't get it off at a higher price to somebody who wants to buy it from you at a higher price, you're stuck with it.
Mm,
Now, what if the price goes below what you paid for? You're stuck with that.
right.
And that's all part of the speculative markets. We've had this word before, speculative markets, because we don't know what's going to happen. Now, when you find out that as you watch the show, you find out that it was all set up. Axe, Axe was upset and he knew that the stock opening day, so he paid 3 people to drink the drink that was contaminated, and it was like, oh, it was big news. So he anticipated, he knew what was going to happen, but he set the situation up so that the person could take a hit and the person could take the downfall, and
Wow.
then Axe made money off that. I was like, oh my, I love Billions. It's like, oh my gosh, yeah.
Wow. Let's go. Okay. Um, I have no more questions.
More questions? All right, okay, all right.
It's all you. What would you like to talk about?
So no, we're good. We covered the petrodollar is what I was talking about when it comes to the money. We covered the petrodollar and how it actually came into being and how it works. What they this is why when it comes to the petrodollar, this is why there was a big fight for the electric car, because when it comes to electric car, if you use electricity, you don't use gas. If
Right.
you use gas, all of this is all connected. It's like, you know, you can't give people an alternative, because if you do that, then that means that the money that you're spending with them, they're going to take it somewhere else. Or what
Right.
you do is you create the alternative and you own that too. Got it? You create
Yes.
the alternative. So a good example is the um, when you go to the supermarket. Okay, um, soup. We got soup. Okay, soup has 120 milligrams of sodium. Soup in the can. But next to it, okay, we got low sodium soup. So it's like, oh, okay, you know what? We made our soup with high sodium. People are becoming aware now of the effects of sodium, of salt. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a low. So we're going to mix. We're going to control the whole thing and give
Hmm.
people an option of high salt or low sodium. We want to control that. We want to own everything.
Right.
That's what people do. That's what companies do. So now you think you have an option. It's all going to the same company. All going to the same company. Yeah. So that's so understand. So that again, because when it comes to the electric car's been out for a long time. But they put a caboose on that and they stopped that. They didn't want that electric car to come out.
Electric. In my opinion, I'm against electric. Um, I mean, because it's like even people that have Teslas and electric cars, they tell me, and I know people personally that have electric cars, and they say when they charge their car, it usually take them about an hour,
Okay.
30 minutes to an hour to charge their car fully, versus if I go to the gas station, I'm just filling it up. It takes me like 20 seconds and I'm done.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. Um, but hey, I don't know. I have to have more research about electric.
Okay. One of the things I'm gonna offline, I'm gonna say I don't want to say it online, but offline I had a crazy idea. I'm gonna tell you offline. It would make sense.
Hmm.
Makes sense. I don't have the power to do it, but I'd say it offline because I don't want someone to take my idea and just oh my god, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. For you.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nah, I'm done.
Good.
This is Thank you, Charles, for everything. Yo, so let's have a great year.
All right.
Now let's do this. Thank you for the gems. You definitely will be back.
Got it. Got it. Got it.
Definitely. All right. So we are out.
All right, bro. Peace.